As we begin to learn a little bit more about quadratics, we learned that quadratics represent many things that we see in the world. Quadratics a lot of times tell us something about what is a minimum of something or maximum. A lot of times when people are trying to maximize profits, well, you will try to model the situation with a quadratic, and that will tell us where is its maximum potential range or profit range is at. Sometimes we might want to minimize something like cost. And what do we do to minimize cost? What I want to do in a couple examples, and this example in particular, is just to kind of give you an idea of what can we do with understanding a quadratic and how it helps. What I have is just a little bit of a puzzle here. And the puzzle is telling me I want to find two numbers whose difference is 10. And once I find those two numbers, I want to choose the best two numbers so that if I multiply them, it would give me the lowest or minimal amount. Let's do a couple examples, just kind of get a feel of what's happening here. Two numbers whose difference is 10. So maybe like 20, take away 10. That difference is 10. And I want to find what its product is. So maybe its product is 20 times a 10. And that equals 200. Let's try another one, and maybe you're thinking of one yourself. Let's say 12 take away 2. 12 take away 2 equals 10. And its product, 12 times a 2, is a 24. Okay, it's less than 200, and I wanted to find the lowest number I could find with its product. Well, how do I find out for sure what the number is without trying every single number in the world? And then after that, I got to start working with fractions and everything else. So learning a little bit about quadratics, I'm going to be able to solve this problem fairly straightforward. But it's going to take some work trying to understand and think what's going on. And maybe there's not going to be an easy way for some of you. You're just going to have to give it some mental time. Well, I'm starting to see a little bit of equation happening here. And maybe if I can turn it into a pattern or an equation, I'll have an idea and I'll have some better luck of what to do. Two numbers, x and y, whose difference is 10. Well, that's pretty good. I see that. So I have one number x, the other number y equals 10. And a lot of times in functions, I want to have with one variable. Right now I have two variables. So I'm going to rewrite this as, I'm going to solve it for y. Y equals x minus 10. So now I have, well, roughly two numbers. I have x, and then instead of y, I can use x minus 10. There's my two numbers, x and x minus 10. The next part of the problem was looking at a product, and I want to find the product where it's a minimum. And the product is two numbers multiplied to each other. So product equals one number times the other number. And I described my two numbers as x and x minus 10. That fits the situation that we are talking about. Well, let's multiply this out, see where this leads. X squared minus 10x. Looks an awful lot like a quadratic function. If I have a quadratic function, I can determine where its minimum and where its maximum is at, depending if it has one or the other. Well, it's in that form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And I remember that I have a vertex x point at x equals negative b over 2a. And in this case, that's negative 10, 10 over 2, or 5. There's one of my numbers. 5 has to be one of the numbers that works such that its product is a minimum. Well, how do I find the other number? Well, I take this 5, and I put it back into, well, my other number, x minus a 10. If this is 5, 5 minus a 10, my other number becomes negative 5. So those are my two numbers, so that if I multiply them, it would be the lowest product that I could find. 5 times a negative 5 is a negative 25. and there's not two other numbers in all of creation that when multiplied will give me a number less than 25, given my initial criteria such that its difference is 10. I hope that helps a little bit. You may need to rewatch this once or twice, follow along in your book and kind of get an idea what's going on.